Benjamin Carter thought his private dinner meeting was secure until a small voice from under the table whispered, "Stop talking, they're recording everything." The 7-year-old black girl hiding beneath the white tablecloth had overheard his restaurant partners plotting not just to steal his $300 million chain, but to frame him for crimes that would put him away for life. "Stop talking!" The urgent whisper cut through the elegant atmosphere of Chateau Laurent, Benjamin Carter's flagship restaurant, like a blade through silk. Benjamin froze, his wineglass halfway to his lips, as he realized the voice had come from directly beneath the private dining table where he sat alone, reviewing contracts for tomorrow's crucial board meeting. His eyes darted around the opulent private dining room with its crystal chandeliers and gold-accented walls. The restaurant was closed to the public. It was past midnight, and he had specifically requested complete privacy to prepare for what would be the most important meeting of his career. A $300 million acquisition deal that would expand Carter Restaurant Group from 50 locations to over 200 across the East Coast. Benjamin Carter, at 45, had built his culinary empire from absolutely nothing. 20 years ago, he had been washing dishes in a downtown diner, dreaming of one day owning a single restaurant. His grandmother's recipes, passed down through 3 generations, had been his only inheritance when she died, leaving him $1,000 and the unshakable belief that food could bring people together in ways that transcended race, class, and circumstance. "Who's there?" Benjamin whispered, carefully placing his glass on the mahogany table without making a sound. A small hand emerged from beneath the white tablecloth, followed by the face of a black girl who couldn't have been older than 7. Her clothes were torn and dirty, her hair matted, but her eyes held an intelligence that immediately struck him as extraordinary. There was something about her posture, the way she carried herself, that spoke of dignity despite her circumstances. "Please don't call security," she whispered urgently. "They're listening to everything you say. Your partners, Mr. Vincent and Miss Rodriguez, they put microphones everywhere. In the flowers, in the salt shakers, even in your chair." Benjamin's blood ran cold. Vincent Moreau and Isabella Rodriguez had been his business partners for 8 years. Vincent was his head of operations, a charming Frenchman who had joined the company when Carter Restaurant Group expanded from 3 locations to 15. Isabella was his chief financial officer, a brilliant woman he had personally recruited from a top accounting firm when the business grew too complex for him to handle alone. Tomorrow's board meeting was supposed to finalize their partnership in the biggest expansion in company history. The irony wasn't lost on Benjamin that his grandmother's final words to him had been a warning. "Benjamin, baby, success will bring you many friends, but few of them will be real. The people who love you when you have nothing are the ones you can trust when you have everything. How do you know this?" Benjamin asked quietly, instinctively lowering his voice. "I've been hiding here since this afternoon," the girl explained, crawling out from under the table with surprising grace. "The cleaning lady left the back door open when she was taking out trash. I hide in restaurants sometimes when it's cold outside. The kitchens stay warm, and sometimes there's food that would just get thrown away anyway." Benjamin studied her more carefully. Despite her disheveled appearance, there was something about her articulation, her vocabulary, that suggested she came from more than the streets. The way she spoke reminded him of his own childhood, intelligent and observant, but forced to grow up too quickly by circumstances beyond her control. "What's your name?" Zara Williams." She paused, seeming to weigh whether to trust him. "I heard them talking in the kitchen around dinner time. They thought the restaurant was empty, but I was hiding in the big freezer room where they keep all the meat." Benjamin felt his heart begin to race. The walk-in freezer was in the back of the kitchen, far from any public areas. If Vincent and Isabella had been talking there, they had chosen that location specifically because they believed it was completely private. "What exactly did you hear?" Zara's eyes grew wide with the gravity of what she was about to reveal. "Mr. Vincent was on the phone with someone. He was speaking English, but sometimes he would say things in French that sounded angry. He said tomorrow you're going to sign papers that will make you lose everything. And then Ms. Rodriguez laughed and said that by next week you'll be in prison for stealing money from your own restaurants." The words hit Benjamin like a physical blow. For 8 years he had trusted Vincent and Isabella completely. He had shared his dreams with them, included them in every major decision, treated them as family. When his father died 2 years ago, Vincent and Isabella had been pallbearers at the funeral. When Isabella's mother had been diagnosed with cancer, Benjamin had personally paid for her experimental treatment. "That's impossible," Benjamin muttered, more to himself than to Zara. "We're partners. They own 30% of the company between them. If Carter Restaurant Group fails, they lose everything too." "That's not what they said," Zara replied firmly, her young voice carrying a certainty that chilled him. "Mr. Vincent said they've been moving money for 2 years. Making it look like you're stealing from the company to pay for expensive things. Cars and houses and trips. Ms. Rodriguez said they have fake receipts and bank records that prove you took millions of dollars." Benjamin's mind raced back over the past 2 years. Vincent had suggested they modernize their accounting systems, claiming that their rapid growth required more sophisticated financial management. Isabella had recommended a new financial services company to handle their multi-location bookkeeping, presenting it as a way to streamline operations and ensure compliance with increasingly complex regulations. Both changes had seemed logical, even necessary. Benjamin had been focused on menu development, chef training, and the creative aspects of restaurant management. He had been grateful to have partners who could handle the administrative complexities that came with success. Did they say anything else? Any details about how they're doing this? Zara nodded gravely, and Benjamin could see that she was remembering the conversation with photographic precision. "Miss Rodriguez said that tomorrow, when you sign the new partnership papers for the big expansion, you'll actually be signing confessions. Papers that admit you stole money. And then the police will come and arrest you right there in the meeting." Benjamin felt nauseous. The acquisition deal with East Coast Hospitality Group was supposed to be the crowning achievement of his career. The contracts were incredibly complex, hundreds of pages of legal documents that Isabella had assured him were standard for deals of this magnitude. She had recommended that he focus on the creative integration aspects while she handled the legal and financial details. "They said other things too," Zara continued, her voice growing quieter, "about how you're too trusting. How you never read the important papers because you let Ms. Rodriguez handle everything. Mr. Vincent called you ... double quotes." She hesitated. "What did he call me?" "He said you were the perfect mark. Too nice to be suspicious and too successful to think anyone would want to hurt you. He said rich people like you never think poor people are smart enough to pay attention to important conversations." The casual cruelty of that assessment stung more than Benjamin expected. He had built his business on trust and treating everyone, employees, partners, vendors, with respect and dignity. The restaurants succeeded because they created environments where everyone felt valued, from the dishwashers to the executive chefs. Vincent's comment about poor people revealed a mindset that Benjamin found deeply disturbing. He himself had come from poverty, had worked every position in restaurants from busboy to head chef before opening his first location. The idea that his partners viewed his background and values as weaknesses to be exploited felt like a betrayal of everything he had worked to build. "Zara, where are you supposed to be right now?" Benjamin asked gently, noticing that despite her intelligence and courage, she was still just a child who was clearly homeless. "Nowhere special," Zara shrugged with heartbreaking casualness. "My mom died 6 months ago. She was sick for a long time and we lost our apartment because the medical bills cost too much money. I was supposed to go live with my aunt in Philadelphia, but she said she couldn't afford another mouth to feed." Benjamin felt his heart break for this brave child. "So you've been on the streets for 6 months? Sometimes I sleep at the shelter on 5th Street, but it's full most nights. Sometimes I find safe places like this. Restaurant kitchens are good because they're warm and clean, and the food that gets thrown away is usually still perfectly good." The matter-of-fact way she described her situation reminded Benjamin of his own childhood, when he and his siblings had sometimes gone to bed hungry because his grandmother couldn't afford both rent and groceries. The difference was that he had had family, people who cared about him even when they couldn't provide for him. "Zara, why are you telling me this? You don't even know me." Her eyes flashed with premature wisdom, the kind that comes from having to grow up too fast. "Because I know what it's like when people think they can use you. When they think you don't matter enough to be careful around." Her voice grew stronger, carrying a moral clarity that Benjamin found remarkable in someone so young. "My mom always told me that if you see someone about to get hurt and you can help, you help. Because that's what makes you human." Benjamin felt something shift inside his chest. Here was a 7-year-old child living on the streets, who had more integrity than 2 people he had considered family for nearly a decade. She had risked her safety to warn a complete stranger about a conspiracy that could have destroyed his life. His phone buzzed with a text message. Vincent. Hey partner, hope you're getting good rest tonight. Tomorrow's going to be historic for Carter Restaurant Group. Can't wait to see your face when you realize how much your life is about to change. The emoji, which Benjamin had always interpreted as friendly enthusiasm, now seemed sinister and mocking. Benjamin showed the screen to Zara, who read it with the same focused attention she had given everything else. He's really mean, isn't he? She observed, pretending to be nice while planning to hurt you. People like that are the worst kind of liars because they make you think they care about you. Another message came in, this time from Isabella. Benjamin, I've been at the office until 2 a.m. making sure every document is perfect for tomorrow's signing. You just need to trust me and sign where I've marked with yellow sticky notes like always. This deal will secure your legacy forever. The patronizing tone that he had never noticed before now seemed glaringly obvious. For years, Isabella had handled increasingly complex legal documents, always assuring him that he didn't need to worry about the details, that his time was better spent on the creative and operational aspects of the business. They really think you're stupid, Zara observed with the blunt honesty of a child. But you built all this, didn't you? You can't be stupid if you made something this successful. Benjamin looked around the restaurant he had created, the carefully chosen artwork, the custom-designed fixtures, the kitchen where he had personally trained dozens of chefs. Every detail reflected his vision and years of hard work. The mahogany tables had been crafted by a local woodworker whose family had immigrated from Honduras. The paintings on the walls were created by artists from the neighborhood where he had grown up. Even the menu reflected his commitment to sourcing ingredients from local farms and suppliers, who shared his values about quality and sustainability. You're right, Zara, I'm not stupid, but I trusted the wrong people. I thought that because we were partners, we wanted the same things. So what are we going to do? She asked, and Benjamin noticed that she had said we, not you. This child, who had every reason to focus only on her own survival, was offering to help him fight back against people who had the power to destroy both of them. Benjamin stood up and began pacing, his mind shifting into the strategic thinking mode that had built his empire. 20 years of overcoming obstacles, finding creative solutions, and turning disadvantages into advantages. He had built Carter Restaurant Group by understanding that success came from paying attention to details that others overlooked, by treating people with respect regardless of their position, and by never giving up when things seemed impossible. First, we need to confirm what you heard. If they've been recording my conversations, they might have evidence of their own crimes too. The microphones, Zara said excitedly. If we can find them, maybe we can record them talking about their plan. That's dangerous. But ... Benjamin paused, looking at this remarkable child who had already shown more courage than most adults he knew. How good are you at staying hidden? At moving around without being noticed? Really good. I've been practicing my whole life, she said, with the kind of confidence that comes from necessity. When you don't have a home, you learn to be invisible until someone needs you for something. Benjamin made a decision that surprised even himself. Zara, I'm going to call Vincent and Isabella. Tell them I want to have an emergency meeting here tonight to go over the final details before tomorrow. You hide where you were before, but this time I want you to use my phone to record everything they say. What if they find me? They won't. They're too arrogant to think anyone is smart enough to spy on them. Benjamin smiled grimly. Besides, they've already proven they underestimate people like us. Benjamin gave Zara his backup phone, showing her how to start and stop the recording function. He also gave her some cash from his wallet. This is for you, regardless of what happens. Promise me that if anything goes wrong, if you feel unsafe for even a second, you run. Get out of here and find a police officer. I promise, Zara said solemnly. But nothing's going to go wrong. We're smarter than they think. 20 minutes later, Benjamin sat at the same table, his phone hidden underneath and set to record. Zara was concealed behind the bar, out of sight but close enough to hear everything and operate the backup recording device. Vincent arrived first, his usual confident smile and expensive suit making him look every inch the successful restaurant executive. His handmade Italian shoes clicked against the hardwood floors as he approached the table with the casual arrogance of someone who believed he owned everything he surveyed. Benjamin, buddy, what's the emergency? Getting cold feet about tomorrow? Benjamin studied Vincent's face, looking for signs of the deception that Zara had uncovered. The smile was perfect, practiced, the kind of expression that had convinced him for years that Vincent genuinely cared about their partnership and the success of Carter Restaurant Group. "Just wanted to go over some details," Benjamin replied carefully. "Make sure we're all on the same page about tomorrow's signing." Isabella entered moments later, carrying her ever-present leather briefcase and wearing the kind of professional outfit that had always made Benjamin grateful to have such a competent financial officer. Her presence had always been reassuring during stressful business decisions. "Benjamin, it's nearly 3 a.m. What couldn't wait until the morning? I've been thinking about the acquisition. It seems almost too good to be true. East Coast Hospitality Group is offering us incredible terms, and I just want to make sure I understand everything before I sign." Vincent and Isabella exchanged a quick glance that Benjamin caught but pretended not to notice. It was the kind of look that people share when they're coordinating a story, making sure their deception remains consistent. "Sometimes good things happen to good people," Vincent said smoothly, settling into his chair with the casual confidence of someone who believed he controlled the entire situation. "You've worked hard for this moment, Benjamin. 20 years of building something from nothing. You deserve success on this scale." The words sounded supportive, but Benjamin now heard the underlying condescension. Vincent spoke as if success were something that happened to people rather than something they created through dedication and hard work. "The legal documents are airtight," Isabella added, opening her briefcase and removing several thick folders. "I've reviewed every page 3 times. All you need to do tomorrow is sign where I've marked with yellow sticky notes. The lawyers from East Coast will handle the rest." Benjamin watched Isabella's hands as she organized the papers. Those same hands had managed every aspect of Carter Restaurant Group's finances for nearly a decade. She had access to every bank account, every vendor relationship, every employee record. If she wanted to frame him for financial crimes, she had the access and expertise to make the evidence look absolutely convincing. "I appreciate how much work you've both put into this deal," Benjamin continued, watching their faces carefully. 8 years of partnership. I couldn't have built any of this without your loyalty and expertise." "Loyalty," Vincent repeated, and Benjamin could have sworn he heard a hint of mockery in his voice. "That's what partnership is all about. Standing by each other through thick and thin." "Absolutely," Isabella agreed, her tone carrying that same patronizing warmth she had always used when discussing business matters with him. "Trust and loyalty. You've always been able to count on us to handle the complex details while you focus on the big picture, the creative vision that makes Carter Restaurant Group special." Benjamin had always interpreted that division of labor as a natural allocation of talents and interests. Now he wondered if Vincent and Isabella had encouraged his focus on creative matters, specifically to keep him away from the financial and operational details that would have revealed their deception. "It's funny," Benjamin said, taking a calculated risk. "I was just thinking about how much access you both have to company finances. Between the two of you, you could probably embezzle millions without me ever knowing." The silence that followed was deafening. Vincent's smile faltered for just a moment before returning with forced brightness. Isabella's pen stopped moving across the legal pad where she had been taking notes. "That's a strange thing to joke about," Isabella said, her voice slightly strained. "Financial crimes are serious business. They destroy lives and careers. Is it a joke?" Benjamin asked quietly. "I mean, theoretically, if someone wanted to frame me for financial crimes, they'd need to create false evidence of me stealing money. Bank records, receipts, documentation of unauthorized transfers, things like that." Vincent stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor with a sound that seemed unnaturally loud in the tense atmosphere. "Benjamin, what's this really about? Are you having some kind of breakdown? Pre-acquisition stress?" "He's probably just nervous," Isabella said quickly. But Benjamin noticed that her hands were trembling slightly as she closed one of the folders. "Big deals can be overwhelming, even for experienced business owners. Maybe we should postpone tomorrow's meeting until you're feeling more confident." "No," Benjamin said firmly, watching their reactions with the intensity of someone whose life depended on reading every micro-expression. "I think tomorrow will be very revealing. For all of us." Vincent walked to the window and looked out at the empty street, his reflection in the glass showing an expression that was far from the confident mask he usually wore. "Benjamin, we're your partners. We're on your side. This suspicion, it's not like you." "Maybe you don't know me as well as you think," Benjamin replied. Maybe none of us know each other as well as we thought. Isabella gathered her papers with movements that seemed more hurried than her usual methodical organization. I think we should all get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day, and we need to be sharp for the negotiations. What negotiations? Benjamin asked. I thought everything was already settled. Another exchange of glances between Vincent and Isabella. Another crack in their coordinated facade. Final details, Vincent said quickly. Contract language, timing of payments, transition schedules, standard stuff. As they prepared to leave, Benjamin made one more calculated observation. You know, if I were going to embezzle money from my own company, I'd probably start by creating shell companies to hide the transfers. Maybe set up fake vendor relationships or inflated service contracts. Isabella dropped her pen. The sound of it hitting the floor echoed through the room like a gunshot. Why would you think about something like that? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Professional curiosity, Benjamin replied. I've been reading about corporate fraud cases. Amazing how creative people can be when they're stealing from their own partners. Vincent moved toward the door with obvious urgency. We should go. Long day tomorrow. After they left, both clearly agitated and communicating in urgent whispers as they walked through the parking lot, Benjamin retrieved his phone and found Zara behind the bar, her eyes bright with excitement and outrage. Did you hear everything? He asked. Every word, she confirmed, and I saw their faces. They looked really scared when you talked about the fake companies and shell accounts. Ms. Rodriguez dropped her pen, and Mr. Vincent's hands were shaking when he put on his coat. Benjamin reviewed the recording on his phone. While Vincent and Isabella hadn't explicitly confessed to anything, their reactions and word choices would be enough to raise serious questions with the right investigators. Zara, he said seriously, kneeling down to be at her eye level, I need to ask you something important. If I'm right about what they're planning, tomorrow could be very dangerous. They've already committed serious crimes and desperate people do desperate things. Are you willing to help me stop them? What do you need me to do? I'm going to call someone who specializes in investigating corporate fraud, but I need you to be my witness. You're the only person who heard their original conversation in the kitchen. Without your testimony, it's just my word against theirs. Zara straightened her shoulders with determination that would have been impressive in an adult, let alone a 7-year-old who had been living on the streets for 6 months. My mom always said that brave isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing even when you are scared. Your mom sounds like she was a wise woman. She was, before she got sick and went to heaven. Zara's voice carried a matter-of-fact sadness that broke Benjamin's heart. She used to work at a bank, in the part where they catch people who steal money. She taught me how to pay attention to details that other people miss. Benjamin felt a chill as he realized that Zara's ability to understand and remember the financial conspiracy wasn't just exceptional intelligence, it was training from a mother who had worked in financial crimes investigation. Well, I think she would be very proud of how brave you're being tonight. As dawn approached, Benjamin made the call that would change everything. Detective Sarah Chun answered on the second ring, her voice alert despite the early hour. Detective Chun, this is Benjamin Carter from Carter Restaurant Group. I need to report a conspiracy involving corporate fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit false imprisonment. Mr. Carter, those are serious allegations. What evidence do you have? A witness who overheard the entire plan, recorded conversations from tonight's meeting, and documentation that I believe will show systematic theft over multiple years. Detective Chun had been investigating financial crimes for 15 years, specializing in cases where business partners betrayed each other for personal gain. She had seen restaurants, retail chains, and small manufacturing companies destroyed by exactly the kind of conspiracy Benjamin was describing. I can be there in 2 hours. Don't touch anything else. Don't communicate with your partners, and keep your witness safe. 3 hours later, Detective Chen sat in Benjamin's office above Chateau Laurent, reviewing the evidence while Zara, now cleaned up and wearing clothes Benjamin had bought her that morning, provided her statement with remarkable clarity and detail. Zara recounted the conversation she had overheard with the precision of someone much older, including direct quotes, specific details about financial mechanisms, and behavioral observations that revealed a sophisticated understanding of criminal psychology. This child has an exceptional memory, Detective Chun observed. She's recounting conversations with the precision of a trained investigator. My mom taught me, Zara explained simply. She said that if you ever see people planning to hurt someone, you have to remember everything exactly because details matter when you're trying to prove the truth. Detective Chen pulled out a tablet and showed them photographs that made Benjamin's blood run cold. The photos showed Vincent and Isabella meeting with men in expensive suits at various restaurants and hotels over the past year. Mr. Carter, do you recognize these people? Vincent and Isabella, yes. But I don't know the others. The man in the gray suit is Anthony Torino, Detective Chen explained. He runs a money laundering operation that specializes in restaurant and hospitality businesses. We've been tracking him for 3 years, but he's been impossible to catch because he's careful to stay several steps removed from the actual crimes. Money laundering? Benjamin felt his world tilting on its axis. We believe your partners have been using Carter Restaurant Group locations to clean money for organized crime. The expansion deal you're supposed to sign today? It's not with a legitimate hospitality company. East Coast Hospitality Group is a front for one of the largest criminal organizations on the East Coast. The magnitude of the betrayal was staggering. Benjamin had thought Vincent and Isabella were simply stealing money. He hadn't imagined that they were using his restaurants to launder money for criminals, potentially making him an unwitting accomplice to organized crime. Zara listened intently, then asked a question that surprised both adults. Detective Chen, if they've been doing this for years, how many other restaurants have they destroyed? Detective Chen smiled sadly at the child's perceptive question. Smart thinking, young lady. We've identified at least 12 restaurant chains over the past 5 years that followed the same pattern. Trusted partners slowly take control of finances, create false evidence of owner wrongdoing, then force a sale to criminal organizations while the original owner goes to prison. 12 families destroyed, Benjamin said quietly. How many people lost everything they built? How many went to prison for crimes they didn't commit? Too many. But today, we have a chance to stop them and potentially bring down an entire network of corruption that spans multiple states. Benjamin's phone buzzed with a text from Vincent. See you at 2 p.m., partner. Hope you're ready for the biggest day of your life. Everything you've worked for comes together today? Detective Chen saw the message and smiled grimly. Perfect. Here's what we're going to do. The plan was both elegant and dangerous. Benjamin would attend the meeting as scheduled, wearing a sophisticated recording device provided by the police. Detective Chen and her team would wait nearby, ready to move in once they had recorded irrefutable evidence of the conspiracy. But Zara had other ideas about her role in the operation. I want to help, she announced firmly. I can hide better than any adult, and I know this restaurant better than anyone now. Every hiding place, every way in and out. Absolutely not, Benjamin said immediately. It's too dangerous. These people have already destroyed 12 businesses and put innocent people in prison. If they discover you. But they don't know I exist, Zara argued with the logical precision that had impressed him all night. If something goes wrong, if they try to hurt you, I could get help or warn Detective Chen's team. Detective Chen considered this carefully. The child has a point. Adult backup might be detected by people this sophisticated, but a 7-year-old who knows the building. I won't let her get hurt, Benjamin said firmly. I won't get hurt, Zara replied with quiet confidence. I've been taking care of myself for a long time. And besides, my mom always said that sometimes you have to take risks to protect people who can't protect themselves. At 1:45 p.m., Benjamin sat in the same private dining room where this had all began, wearing a recording device so sophisticated that it was completely undetectable. Zara was hidden in the kitchen, positioned near the service window with a direct view of the dining room, equipped with a cell phone connected to Detective Chen's team. Vincent and Isabella arrived precisely on time, accompanied by 3 men in expensive suits, who carried themselves with the kind of confidence that comes from years of successful criminal enterprise. Benjamin, Vincent said with his trademark smile, but Benjamin now noticed that it never reached his eyes. I'd like you to meet our new partners from East Coast Hospitality Group. The tallest man, who introduced himself as Mr. Romano, carried a briefcase that he placed ceremoniously on the table. Mr. Carter, we're excited to welcome Carter Restaurant Group into our family of businesses. The word family carried sinister undertones that Benjamin had never noticed before. In the context of organized crime, family meant something entirely different than the warm partnerships he had always imagined. Family, Isabella repeated, her smile cold despite the warm word. That's what this is really about. Building something bigger than any of us could accomplish alone. Benjamin noticed that none of them were eating or drinking anything, despite being in one of the city's finest restaurants. They were here for business only, and their business was destruction disguised as opportunity,